Today on the channel is return to the Kyle Peterson Top 5. In today's video, we pay tribute to the devil himself, Kevin Sullivan.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another edition of the Kyle Peterson Top 5. A Thursday tradition here on this very YouTube channel is every single Thursday we're counting down my top 5 and occasionally top 10 favorites of something. In today's video, we got a special tribute one to the Taskmaster, the devil, Kevin Sullivan. Of course, Kevin Sullivan, no stranger to wrestling fans, going all the way back to the 70s, heyday down there in Florida, of course, but I have to imagine most people know him from his time in WCW as the Taskmaster, but a lot of Kevin Sullivan memories over the years. I never got to see any of the Florida stuff as a kid. I'd see it in PWI and magazines like that and books, and that's all I ever saw. And then, of course, seeing clips as the YouTube age did come along, so I did see some of that. But me, like a lot of people, you remember him from his time with the Dungeon of Doom, feuding with Hulk Hogan, his Benoit feud back in the day. Of course, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, him carving people up with the old spike. A lot of great memories from Kevin Sullivan. Of course, behind the scenes, he was a booker. He did all kinds of different stuff, that big Brian Pillman feud. So definitely a guy that left his mark on the wrestling industry. However, did not really leave his mark on the action figure industry. It's just kind of the wrong place, right time, wrong place across the board. It really felt like with his career. As long as the career he didn't have a ton of figures. And we just thankfully got a few figures in the last year that got him to 5 figures. I think as of right now, he's got like 6 figures, something like that. And I think would definitely be welcome for some more in the future. So we'll see what we can do here today, but we're going to do the top 5. We're going to do it like usual, of course. This is my list. Put your list in the comments down below. Going to start at number 5. All the way down to number 1. Number 1 going to be my favorite Kevin Sullivan figure of all time. So without further ado, let's get after it. Let's do it for the Taskmaster. Let's start at number 5. We begin the Kevin Sullivan countdown at number 5. And number 5, we go to his time in WCW. We go to the old original San Francisco toy makers. We go over to 1995 for Series 2. Kevin Sullivan, this one, of course, in blue trunks, where Series 1 was black trunks. Really a pick-em at the end of the day. What color do you prefer? I preferred blue. I don't know about you guys, but I like this blue one better. And this one comes in at number 5 for me. So it is very LJN style. These were about the closest thing we had to an LJN. And some may say still the closest. I'd probably say the big rubber guys. But these did give us the LJN feel. Not quite the same. A little bit harder plastic, as we do know. But this is an interesting one because by no means would most people say, okay, you hand you this. Who is this? I don't know if a lot of people are going to guess this is Kevin Sullivan. It does help with the KS down here on the boots, but it really is an interesting one. And if he wasn't doing this face on the package, I'd say, did he ever really do this face? What's going on here? But it's clear as day on the packaging for this one. Got a little bit of that eye. It looks a little Popeye-like is what it looks like. Blonde hair going on. But pretty plain Jane, all things considered. There's no doubt about it. But it is Kevin Sullivan. It was nice to get a Kevin Sullivan figure. Really, his first figure ever was back in 1995. And he had a long career at that point, as we do know. But that's what's coming in here at number 5 is the Taskmaster, original San Francisco Toy Makers, Series 2. The number 4 spot in the Kevin Sullivan Top 5. And number 4, very similar to number 5, this time with a fresh paint of coat. As Bruce Pritchard would say, it's the same figure, this time with red trunks, red boots, but face paint. And face paint will always get the edge. Same figure repainted. We got this figure 3 times, repainted differently each time. This one, more of the Taskmaster variety with some of that face paint going on there. Little harder to get this one, of course, but still, it is the Taskmaster. This is kind of what you think of when you think of him in WCW. I think most people do, at least, but very similar to the last one. Released a little bit longer. 2 years later, I think 1997, this one came out. But it is Kevin Sullivan, this time as the Taskmaster, and this time coming in at number 4. We're at the halfway point of the countdown. We're at number 3. You got your list together. Put it in the comments down below. But the number 3 selection, once again, we go to his time in WCW. We go to a line I've just recently got into for years and years, including when they came out. I said, get that out of here. I don't want anything to do with this. And then I went to a toy swap meet, flea market, whatever you want to call it. It was all on video, and they caught me at a weak moment because they had almost the entire collection, missing just 2 figures. I said, you know what? I'm going to buy all these, and that's exactly what I did. So once again, we go to WCW. We go to the original San Francisco toy makers for their WCW line right here. The vibrating wrestlers, and can you believe this? All these years later, still vibrating. Can you hear that there? Vibrating wrestlers, one of the strangest wrestling figures, if not the strangest wrestling figure line of all time. WCW Monday Nitro, of course, the Taskmaster, full regalia right here. About the size of an LJN, little harder plastic, plus the crazy vibrating gimmick for this one. Just a wild, wild figure, but getting it in hand, looking at it, it's not a bad figure for what it is, and that's why I'm putting this one at number 3 in my top 5 countdown. Dangerously close to the top spot. We're at the number 2 selection, and this time we go to the Classics line. And you guys know I'm just a Classics guy. As to a lot of people, this could be their favorite Kevin Sullivan figure of all time. A very close number 2 for me. We're going to Classic Superstars Series 19. Of course, way back in 2008 for Kevin Sullivan. Doesn't want to stand up, of course. Beautiful black robe on here. This is not Taskmaster version, but not classic Devil version. This is almost indie version, a little bit of WCW version, Kevin Sullivan. But beautiful soft goods robe on this one. A great head sculpt. Of course, part of the Classics line that I hold so near and dear to my heart. Pick up the book on Amazon and Barnes & Noble by yours truly. Just a very, very fun figure. And I took it some time going back and forth between number 1 and number 2. I said, and actually this one came out at number 2 just by a hair, though, just by a hair. We'd love to see Mattel try to do something like this in the future, or Zombie Sailor, one of these other toy lines that are going to make this scale a figure. Definitely need a modern day Kevin Sullivan action figure in the modern scaling. But for right now, number 2, number 19, Classic Superstars, Kevin Sullivan. We've hit the top spot, the number 1 Kevin Sullivan figure of all time. Remember, get your list in the comments down below. Put them in order. That's the hard part. That is the fun part. And of course, check out the channel. Videos every single day, and every Thursday we got a countdown video, as you guys do know. But the number 1 Kevin Sullivan figure, have to imagine most people watching this video, they probably have this figure. Maybe the overwhelming majority. It is also the most recent Kevin Sullivan action figure release, and this is the only figure so far, as of right now, that represents his time in Florida truly as the Devil. It is Zombie Sailor Toys, Heels and Faces, Kevin Sullivan Retro. Now, I like the scaling of the Jakks ones a hair more. I do like that Jakks one we saw at number 2 a whole lot. This one, though, wins because of his classic regalia. The chain, the leather, the face paint, the crazy look, him being possessed by the devil, all that kind of stuff. Really carried this one at number 1 for me. Would love to see this upgraded to like an AEW Jazzwares Mattel Elite style figure. Hopefully Zombie Sailor, he's got a long list of guys he's been working with. Maybe he can get that done. We'll see what happens in the future. But a very cool looking retro. Definitely a moment in time, but definitely a moment in time we need more action figures from. And the Heels and Faces is going to be number 1 in my top 5 countdown. So Kevin Sullivan, we'll miss you. Quite the character, legendary character over the years. A lot of great matches, a lot of good behind-the-scenes stuff for sure. Always sad when some of these wrestlers die, but we got to pay a little bit of tribute with a top 5, top 10 list for these guys and gals. Don't forget the gals, of course. So there it is, Kevin Sullivan, top 5. Once again, put your comments down below. Put your list down below. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the old notification bell. We got videos every single day. Even more content on Patreon. You do get early access to both YouTube channel videos. Check out the Patreon. Check out ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. And don't forget social media. SirPaul64 on the X. _Kyle_Peterson on Threads. And on Instagram. So for the Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan, the Devil, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.